Hi, I'm Jason English. I'm an analyst with Intellyx, and welcome to ZohoDay 25. This is my probably fourth time to do this event. It's always really enjoyable because we get to find out about new Zoho products and additions to the suite, as well as meet great Zoho customers, like Jaroslav here. Jaroslav, what's your role, or what does your company do?
My name is Jarek Pietraszko. I am a Chief Information Officer for IFFCO Group, based out of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. IFFCO Group is a large FMCG manufacturing company, probably one of the biggest in the Middle East. We're talking about the various kind of categories of the products, like oil and fats, culinary, impulse business, but we are also talking about the beauty products, which we distribute mainly in Africa. And obviously some supportive divisions like a packaging division or the transportation division when we deliver all the goods across the whole Middle East region to our customers or to our distribution centers.
Wow, so a very diverse product base and number of things that you're selling there, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of B2B, it's a bit of B2C,
yeah.
It's a bit of almost everything, yeah.
Cool. So how did you start your journey with Zoho?
We started in 2019 when we were looking for the real system when we can start managing our expenses globally. At that point of time, we had a very fragmented way of managing this topic. We had the policy which was introduced in our, let's say, in our base country, but in other countries, we didn't have this kind of control. So we tried to evaluate the options for us. One was to go for the internal development of the product, but then we said, yeah, probably the total cost of ownership, management of that moving forward is going to cost us too much. And it always takes time, for example, to deploy any changes. The other option was, let's go for one of the well-known systems on the market, but they are very much tied to one of the ERP providers. And because we were in the transition phase between the both, we said we need to have something a bit more universal. And this is how we derived to the conclusion, yeah, let's look for the system which is independent from the ERP providers and which is independent from, or which is not really the internal development. And that's how we found Zoho. And we realized after just a few days of playing with the system that ourselves, without really any training, any manuals and anything, we are able to build a pretty complex policies, and we can understand how to build the, all this calculations, rules and permissions within the system that we can manage also the complexity of the organization, that the approvals, for example, for the expenses happens across the multiple countries, having compliance to the local regulations in all of those countries, including, emerging markets where sometimes you have a complexity you would not see in US or in Europe. And that was a pretty fast implementation. It took for us 3 months to bring that as a pilot to UAE. And then we roll it out to the other countries where the rollout was going hand in hand with the deploying of the processes by the HR or finance or the administration team. The IT piece was pretty straightforward. When we had the model, we just did a few adjustments to be compliant, and that's all. So in total, it took for us to have that deployed globally in 9 months. And then we expanded even further, bringing also not only travel expenses or the employee expenses, but bringing the petty cash expenses, which significantly reduced the cash flow of the cash in the company. So we converted into prepayments or purchase-based payments, or to the top-up cards, which, obviously reduce the cash. In some of the markets, we were not able to achieve it. When they are cash-driven, you can't do anything. But I would say 70% of the countries we operate right now are cashless.
Wow. So what modules of Zoho are you using now? Besides expense, or what?
Okay. So one of the integral part of, I think, Zoho offer is Zoho Analytics. Each and every time when you go for any of the products from Zoho portfolio, you want to understand the data behind, you have to go for the Zoho Analytics. But the Zoho Analytics gives a pretty nice way of visualizing this data, understanding this data, building the very powerful dashboards which we can circulate across the different stakeholders and provide them the role-based access to the specific data they are only authorized. That's one aspect. The second aspect, or the other product we are using from the Zoho is Zoho Creator. We brought a multiple application custom workflows when we do not have a solution out of the box. And obviously Zoho Analytics also helps here. Another product we use from the Zoho portfolio is really from the sister companies. We are talking about the Manage Engine.
Yes.
Manage Engine, in fact, we use obviously to support the IT department from the endpoint central security aspects, but also Service Desk Plus, which we have implemented first for the IT department. And then we roll it out to the global business functions, which were centralized and outsourced. So we have the departments like a finance, supply chain, HR, or sales using this tool. And now we are also using the analytics to, first of all, to visualize the data that we can understand how we can improve, for example, particular function from compliance perspective, improvement of SLA and all this. But also we are building right now the centralized dashboard that the senior management at the corporate level will be able to see how the particular functions are performing.
Were you able to replace some of these external services that you were using, or some of those existing systems that might have been a little costlier or more limiting to your ability to change?
Okay, so Zoho Expense is a good example. We didn't have something which was working globally, right?
Yeah.
Now, bringing the control, bringing the policies, bringing the approval across the countries, it was a significant game changer. On top of that, because we changed completely the process how we manage that, it became a paperless expense reporting. I mean, the claims. Previously, we used to collect the documentations. We used to club them, put into the cabinet where the shared services every 2 weeks used to collect those kind of reports along with the particular expenses. We converted that completely into digital mode when you're getting back from the business trip and you can do your claim in 2 minutes instead of spending an hour, for example. If we are talking about the Zoho Creator, one of the interesting deployments we've done is a freezer management. Because one of the products in our portfolio are ice creams.
Wow.
And we have thousands of freezers deployed to the market. And obviously the cold chain team versus the sales team, they couldn't get into the agreement. What is the real number of the freezers on the market? We finally were able to build a system that the communication between them, that every withdrawing of the freezer, every repair of the freezer is managed through the system. So there is a complete visibility and there is no ambiguity anymore.
Wow. It sounds like a lot of your challenges probably are related to not just scaling the system, but getting adoption. So how did you encourage adoption across so many diverse units?
Okay, let me start with the Zoho Expense again.
Yeah.
We went live just after the lockdown for the COVID-19 came to. So, it was pretty natural that the people couldn't really claim the event expenses in the old way. So this adoption, they have been forced to really adopt into the system. So that was really like adding the fuel to the fire, that it went very smoothly. And when the people understood the benefits coming out of this and the minimal training is required, then obviously this adoption went very well. The example with the Manage Engine, which is a ticketing tool, today you cannot really be efficient managing any of these kind of services without the proper tracking of all these activities or the requirements which are coming from the users or our vendors, suppliers, customers. So, it also came pretty easily. Now, when we are talking about the creator, very often when we get the requirement from the business, we want to understand the full business scenario. And we are supporting the business stakeholders from the perspective how to plan the adoption, how we can get the buy-in from the users, that they will not feel that they are forced to use, but they will see the benefits. And when we are talking about the custom workflows, it's very often there is a weakness which is in the company, and basically everyone understands, and it's pretty easy to get this adoption. It's a different story than, for example, you're talking about the any CRM systems, right? This is no one loves to spend the time on the CRMs. This is where this discipline really has to come. With the Zoho Expense, with the Zoho Creator, or the Manage Engine, it was not as challenge as a CRM, for example.
Interesting. Have you explored using any of the Zoho AI types of features, the assistant, or any other aspects of that?
So today we had a very interesting session when we were able to understand how the ZIA is going to work across the multiple different applications. Now, we need to probably understand from our IFFCO specifics how we can potentially integrate with the other systems we use, because the AI power will come whenever we will be able to bring the information from the multiple sources, club them together, and present them in some kind of a reasonable way. So this even gives me the benefits of exchanging this kind of idea and even brainstorm with the other participants what kind of business cases we can have. You know, AI, at least for me, it is based on the 4 pillars. The first pillar is the AI, which is used by the user to support him on the daily operations, and this is mainly what can be achieved by the training. The second is when we are talking about the improvements to the automation we have when, for example, you are having automatic scanning and booking of the documents. From time to time, the RPA will stuck. Then the AI can come and solve a lot of this kind of issues. Another aspect is related to the producing the marketing content, which we do pretty extensively at IFFCO. And the other aspect, the last aspect from the AI standpoint, is to solve the real problems or the real issues which the business is facing. I can give an example of promotion management. Mm-hmm. Usually the process is you agree to the budget for the particular group of products, and then you're spending that over the year with just analyzing if you are not crossing the budget for the promotion. But having the model which can identify what is the moment where any additional spend are not going to give you any benefits, or you should shift the budget from the one product category to the other category, that's something where we are right now working on this kind of AI specific cases.
Yeah, basically smaller model AIs that are very specialized to those specific needs, right? They speak the language of the applications that they're using. They're not just there to talk to you, right?
Yes, so right now we are working on also bringing from the analytics standpoint the self-service to our users, because the amount of the dashboards and the KPIs you can build and you can keep building, but until you provide to the super users the self-service capabilities, there is always this kind of discomfort on the both sides from the IT that we not deliver what the business is looking for, and the business cannot get the information they're looking for. But you know, as a part of this implementation, we are also looking to bring this natural language processing, that this communication with the numbers we have is going to be significantly simplified. And you know, we will not have to spend, or the business will not have to spend the time of you know, adding these columns, doing some calculations. Let's AI do the job.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, Jaroslav. Any other thoughts coming out of this ZohoDay 25 so far?
I'm glad to see that the Zoho right now is officially expanding to the enterprise level. I remember when we, as a large organization, multi-billion-dollar company, when we were starting our journey with Zoho, there were not very many customers who could, for example, give us the reference of going for this kind of system. So, you know, that is giving us another confidence that we took a really good decision in 2019, 2020, when we went live with the Zoho Expense in the first product, and then we started using also other products from the Zoho portfolio. Yeah,
it really is starting to prove itself out with some larger customers here. So, yeah, very good to see. All right. Well, thanks so much. This has been Jason English signing off from ZohoDay 25 from Intellyx, and
Jarek Pietraszko from IFFCO. Thank you.
You can even keep your data privately. Zoho. You can keep your books and track expenses.